afternoon, Guyana. Good afternoon, especially our viewers coming from the Berbice area. We're transmitting on DTV in Berbice, DTV Channel 8. I hope that everyone had a good week, although I know it has been problematic and difficult for many of us to have to deal with. So today, welcome to our Alliance on the Move program. I'm Kathy Hughes, and I can't say that I'm happy to be having the discussion that we're going to have, only because we are going to be dealing with the most unfortunate news that we heard late last night, and that is the fact that the victim in the Nigel Dharamlal um, alleged rape case has said no further action. And so we are really perturbed at the way this situation has unfolded. So without further ado, I want to welcome Member of Parliament, Beverly Alert. Good to see you, Beverly.
Hi, guys.
And of course, our leader of the Alliance for Change, our legal expert who is going to be sharing some good information with us on the program today, and also our leader for the Alliance for Change, Kemraj Ramjatan. Welcome to both of you.
Hi,
Thanks for
Kathy.
joining
Thanks,
us.
Kathy.
Kemraj, I could see the distress and the anger in your face. I know you have
It
been.
is a complete, yeah, Kathy. It has been complete distress for me,
Yeah.
and it is a horrible situation created as a result of this development, which development came as a result, in my opinion, of state institutions sapping the will of that girl to the extent of of pressuring her so much that she gave up literally. She was being made, in my opinion, the accused, as it were,
Mhm.
not the victim. And in sexual offenses, under the new regime of laws that we have, it is not supposed to be so much pressure on her because, first of all, she's a young child, and secondly, it was a sexual offense. And you can even add a third part of it being that they are not very sophisticated, these indigenous peoples. And that is the three things that really ought to have ensured that she be treated comfortably and all. She was not. What we have seen there today is that the person who is the victim was literally locked up for days, being interrogated. And the interrogation, whenever the interrogation, it would seem bringing out what is called um, good evidence against minister. They
Yeah.
asking for more questions and the interrogating and all of that. Well, that is absolute nonsense in accordance with the laws and those protocols that the laws provided for.
Mhm.
And this victim has gotten the double whammy as a victim, as it were. Sodomized and screwed, and what you call now a position of being doubly hit because so much pressure on her to the extent she now give up. And there it is. The person who in normal times should be locked up, he was free on bail, and he is now, feeling exonerated by her withdrawal statement. Well, I wish the public to know that that is evil. And
Yeah.
I wish the public to know that the shame is greater than the exoneration, and that this matter will not be done here. There must be a sustained effort to ensure that this dastardly rape and sodomization of an indigenous girl, this government, literally by not doing matters with more expedition, are going to pay a price. It is so angry I am that I say these things. Because, how could you dare, since when? The 16th, the social media carried a statement of rape. The 16th, by this victim, and it being done by Dharamlal. Then a letter was sent to the president in accordance with this victim's account, June 18th. Then Dharamlal asked, I want to go on administrative leave. He wasn't immediately asked by the president, go and take a Sabbath for me while this investigation goes. He going to tell the president, I want administrative leave. Now, administrative leave means you can get all his salary, all his benefits, and everything. He ordered Irfan Ali, I want administrative leave, and Irfan gave him. Now, we know that that came from who is the real president of the country, and that is Bar Jagdeo. Because although I understand Irfan Ali wants him out, Jagdeo is telling Irfan Ali, no way. But that is the scenario inside. Then the complaint was then dealt by the Child Care Protection Agency from the Human Resources, what is it called? And Social Security Ministry.
Yeah.
They took charge of the girl after some days passed. And they literally had her incognito, in camera. You can't talk to her and so on. On the night of the 20th, I was asked by the mother if I could legally represent her and the girl. And I said yes. And then she told me that the girl is supposed to sign on the statement that she gave about this whole incident and the rape and the sodomization and everything. Mr. Ramjatan, I would like you to go to the Kwamina Street Child Protection Agency branch. And I went there. The girl was not there. Then I asked the people who were in charge of the girl, one person by the name of, I think, Camille, Jeffrey. And I said, I would like to see the girl. Look, the mother is here. The mother is saying, please, let me. They said the girl's statement is at some place called Blossom, another non-governmental organization. Which organization had taken her statement? You understand? And so I said, oh, please, where is Blossom? Because I didn't know where Blossom. Could I go there? Mr. Ramjatan, you cannot go. The protocol says that you can't have private legal representation for the girl. I said, what? Right to counsel is an inherent constitutional right. But little did I know that all these machinations of preventing the girl from seeing the lawyer that her mom had requested for her, and her mom had spoken to her too. I understand the girl was saying that she wanted a lawyer. I think the mom had taken myself, and also the dad had gone to Dexter Todd.
Right, and I think
none of we can't see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
But just to continue the thought,
Sure.
Right down to that 21st of June, could see them trying to disassociate legal representation for the girl, and I couldn't do anything. Yeah. I understand she signed her statement, and it was a powerful statement incriminating the minister. I understand this statement has been leaked all over the place. I am trying to get my hands on the statement because it is important. Now, when you give such a compelling statement to the Child Protection Agency, and then they gave it to the police, and then the police carried it to the DPP, I mean, that, in my opinion, ought to have been sufficient to charge him. But days and days passed, and then whatever happened. Now, we know also the next day that she had gone, or the 20th, she had gone to the Locus and Co. Locus and Co means the place where the rape is alleged to have happened. The little brother gave a statement that he was in that house on that day. Mm-hmm. And he was asked to watch television downstairs. And he got up with the girl upstairs. And then when the girl go now and examine the spot where the incident happened, the room had nothing now. Room recently painted over. What you want to paint over room for? You want to hide the evidence? And then, of course, all the talk, which from my confidential sources, speaking to the mother, a lot of these things happened about hush money being paid. What's hush money for? Look, this thing has serious implications for good governance in Guyana.
Yeah.
And then to now literally make mincemeat out of that girl to the extent that she is now overpowered and give a statement. And it seems like our police only want statement of retraction. You remember the superintendent in Essequibo? Run down and get retraction statement. They don't want the statement of culpability. Then this other one now come on and said yesterday, last night, that the girl has given a statement and all of that she don't want any further action and prosecution. You know what happened there? In any case, if an accused person was so locked up and had given a confession statement about he being involved in a crime or so on, that person would have been said to have involuntarily given that kind of a statement.
Mm-hmm. Because
and it would have been held null and void. But then police jumped to the conclusion. Yes. Because it was coercive and oppressive circumstances and so on. And we got now the reverse happening here, where the virtual complainant has been put in virtually oppressive, suppressive circumstances.
Yeah.
And now you get the minister feel that he has been vindicated. Well, he's not been vindicated. The girl never said that she was not raped and sodomized. The girl just said, because of all this pressure here, I don't want any further continuation. So you must not feel that, and we in Parliament has to ensure that this thing is taken to a different level now. Because the concept of individual ministerial responsibility is part of the Constitution of Guyana because of the fact that we are an inheritor of the English Westminster system. And although he might very well feel that he's not going to suffer a trial today or will be charged, he must know that he must not be in cabinet, he must not be in parliament. Yeah. This fella is of not the quality and a fit and proper candidate for those two positions. He must just disassociate from those two institutions. Otherwise, we're going to have this PPP government condoning rape by ministers and accepting them. And the women inside of that government, like all of them, shut up now. Yeah. You're not hearing nothing from them. And I know that plenty of them get daughters. I want to know if their daughters would have been treated like this if that daughter was the victim, like this poor indigenous girl. They would have wanted the best, most comfortable treatment. They would have wanted lawyers to go and meet the daughter and so on. But this little girl, victim, could get none of that. And this thing is outrageous to the highest, stink to high heavens. Yeah. And evil in Guyana seems to have a friend in ministerial positions.
Yeah.
All across this country, people are denouncing it. And so those are my opening words on this thing. It is a nasty event. And by the way, this is not the first time that minister has done things like this, all over the place. A girl from New York writing the press, and he can't go and sue the girl or the papers for any defamation. Some girl in Essequibo recently write a big middle page spread as to what he did to her. This fella is shameless. He should be knocked off from both Parliament and the cabinet. He's not fit at all for that. And it's a horrible situation that we have. And I'm hoping that the president of the country, that is the officially sworn-in president, Ali, he gets some balls to ensure that this fella is removed. And do not allow, I have been telling him, I have been begging him, get rid of Jagdeo. Jagdeo will be the scourge of your party. He can broke it up. And he's going to broke up the whole country because the PPP is a big party, as we know, very influential. When you are going to be influenced by people like Jagdeo, whom I understand has indicated that he ain't going anywhere once, of course, this development happened. And now the development happened. There
Well,
is suspicions that it was intellectually authored like that. And so I'm going to cut off there, Kathy. But this thing is a shameless thing. The
it,
shame is greater than the exoneration.
it is. It is a bad situation. Beverly, we heard how strongly Kemraj feels about this, and it is a very sad situation. Can you speak to, what is disheartening is that although we have legislation that's supposed to be very progressive in terms of protecting the rights of a child and a victim, as in this case, we seem to have gone back to the same thing where the child is being assaulted over and over. Can you share some of your thoughts on this situation and how unfair this seems to be? Once you're big, you got the position and you got money, you could do anything.
Kathy, this is more than being unfair. This recent development has angered me.
Yeah.
I cannot truly express how angry I am because I might use some language not appropriate for national broadcast. But as a woman, I am angry. That young woman put into the public domain
Yeah.
details of her assault that were so horrendous.
Yeah.
Her first sexual encounter was so horrendous. She was abused. She was assaulted. She was destroyed. And then we have the agencies of state, agencies that collect our tax dollars and money that belongs to the Guyanese people. And these agencies, the Child Protection Agency, the Director of Public Prosecution, they have not protected that child, our child. She's a Guyanese girl child. They failed to protect her. Instead of protecting her, they re-victimized her. What happened to her on that day? She recounted in her social media post in all its gory details. And then she had to relive that experience over and over and counseling victims of rape. 101 is that you minimize the number of times the victim has to go through that ordeal, recount that ordeal, because every time she goes through it, she is reliving that horrendous experience. Rape is the most heinous crime. There's no excuse for rape. We have to stop making excuses. And I cannot imagine that a child, a girl child, would put those details into the public domain for fun.
No.
Just accuse somebody. I believe the child. She was raped. I believe her. And that is one of the things. Red Fred did an excellent booklet on dealing with rape, the Sexual Offences Act, dealing with victims of rape. And that is one of the things that they mention. Believe the victim. Give the victim the benefit of the doubt. But the Director of Public Prosecution, she failed that child.
Yep.
She totally failed that child. And you know what's worse, Kathy? She not only failed that child, but every other child who is abused in this country, I personally laid at the feet of the DPP. She would be responsible. Every other person who is raped because she failed to deal with this matter in the appropriate way. She is responsible. The director of public prosecutions is responsible for every other rape that takes place in our country. She ought to be ashamed of herself. She ought to hang up her gloves, take off her Muslim headwear, and crawl in a corner, never to show her face again. She has failed women of Guyana. She's failed girl children of Guyana. And there is no excuse in that. Let the matter go to court and let him prove his innocence in court. The girl made a detailed statement enough to see the matter going to court.
Yeah.
Let him prove in court that he did not do what the child said he did to her. So, Kathy, I am really and truly angry. And I'm also scared. Because after putting those details in the public domain, not only Guyanese read about it,
The whole world.
the whole world read about
Yep.
it.
Yep.
She exposed herself.
Herself.
That child exposed herself. So I am afraid. I'm afraid now for that child.
Yeah.
Because now she's not only a victim of rape, but she's a potential suicide case.
Yeah. Well, Beverly,
Because
I think,
society would have failed her.
yeah, I think this is a good time for us to really compliment this child, this young lady who
Oh,
had the
yeah.
strength of character. And I want her to know if by chance she, might see this program, I want her to know that the women, all fair-minded women of Guyana, stand in solidarity with you.
And we hold her up.
And we hold you up.
Hold her up.
And we hold you up. And one of the things that we want to get later on in the program is the kinds of things that could be done. A, to ensure that a situation like this is not handled as badly as this one appears to have been handled, and what we could do for this young lady going forward. Kamraj, I know one of the things that we have heard, and the DPP actually said, was that she'd sent the file back for further investigation. And in today's Kaichor news, if the statements attributed to Attorney at Law Dexter Todd are correct, it sounds as though another agency was presented to the young lady and she was having to go over the same questions again.
Every
And
time.
it was at that point in time
Revictimization.
she must have felt enough is enough. How many more times I need to repeat this? As you quite rightly highlighted, Kamraj. But Kamraj, why would the DPP, as an attorney, why would the DPP have to go back for further investigation, given all the information that was there? And I want to
Well,
juxtapose it against, I heard, I saw a comparison being made with the charges that were done in just a week. The DPP handled the case of the young girl who is alleged to have burnt the dormitory down, that resulted in, unfortunately, the loss of 19 very precious lives. And apparently that whole process took just a week, 7 days exactly. And yet we've seen this go down and on and all these things. Why did the DPP have to do that, Kamraj?
well, it is for the DPP to answer that question. Generally, I'll tell you because I have worked 4 years in the Director of Public Prosecutions Chambers from 1982 to I think 1984 to sometime in 1989 or 88. And I know of situations whereby the DPP, or even when I had advised on files, I would put at the bottom, please take another statement to fill a certain gap
Okay.
that was not clear on the statement. So, assuming, let's say, in a murder case or any other case of criminality, the very details of, let's say, the girl being shy in not telling, the child protection agency what he did, let's say, with his sexual organs and so on. And it is required that she indeed give more explicit information. It could be sent, because not being too explicit can be a weakness in the case. You want her to say that this is what happened. And so you generally send it back and say, well, please, try to put her in some state of comfort and let her give that fuller statement in a supplementary statement. I don't know if that is the reason why. It could very well be that he wanted more statement as to whether that room that was now altered, whether they wanted further police statements that it appeared recently altered, or a carpenter or some other expert to say that, and so on. So we'd have to be careful. But since she's a constitutional office holder who had sent the file back, I think that in view of the fact that this has tremendous political ramifications, and now that the girl has switched around to the extent of saying that she is not pursuing the matter anymore, and it seems like all of these things might have caused that to happen, answers should be given. And so it is not, because these are constitutional office holders quite frankly, whose decisions are all judicially reviewable. It is all reviewable. So if somebody wanted to know why it is that she had to send it down, it could very well be going to court as to why. But she could clear the air to say, well, this is it. But if indeed all the evidence in relation to the actual rape and sodomy was taken care of, because I also understand that she had given a statement, not she, but the medical practitioner and so on, who examined her, had indicated, in sexual offenses like this, ruptured hymen, it is called, and the evidence was there for all of that, which is consistent with being raped, which is consistent with being raped. It is important that we get all of that. We get all of that. And to say, but what could have caused this girl now to change? That is an important editorial today. I think it is today in Starbuck News, as to what could have caused the girl to change her statement. That is why I'm saying it is a travesty, because he who ought to have been put in a position to answer a lot more questions and to be interrogated, he is the person that has been saved from that process. And the poor child now, having given a statement to the social media, given a statement to the president, consistent with each other, then given a statement to Blossom, non-governmental organization, consistent with all of that, which definitely has sufficient evidence of rape and sodomy inside, you're now going to send it around for what? Or you ask the police to go and investigate some hush money and so on. And then you're talking to the child all the time inside there, whosoever else is talking to the child, and now the child collapse. Is
But
that what you
Cameron,
wanted? No. Yeah.
No, I just want to say, in addition to the rape allegation, there's also sexual assault, because this child told of how many times he called her on her phone, messaged her.
Oh,
That
yes,
he was
preparatory
basically
stage.
grooming that child.
Yes.
So the evidence for that can be easily had,
And that's
a sexual assault charge.
yep, because that's in the law,
All of that.
sexual grooming.
Exactly.
Yep.
Oh yeah, sexual grooming. That I ain't even going there. I am going now essentially on the very serious charges of rape and sodomy.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
But that's
it was all leading up to that rape.
yep.
There
So
is
really,
grounds there.
really the book could be thrown at him
Oh man, the
On
whole
several-
life will be
Precisely.
thrown at him.
on
Or
several.
version of the course of justice too.
Yep.
Find
And-
himself in a sequebo with the driver to do what? Look, in the court of public,
Opinion.
with all that we know, he has been convicted, but we know that is not genuinely what he's going to be punished for.
Yep.
I am urging that now that the girl is withdrawn, he must withdraw from public life. He must go somewhere. Well, he shouldn't go by Lethem and so on, because you don't know what he can do there.
Yeah, he
But
should
this fella,
stay in his house. Lock
yes,
up.
Yes,
Lock up and stay
somebody
away.
accused of those crimes is a public menace.
Yep.
And as Kemraj rightly pointed out, it's not one or two persons making these accusations.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, Beverly, we are parliamentarians, and we forget that on the floor of the parliament,
Man.
he made the most derogatory remark. This was not hearsay, this was recorded.
Yep.
And the fact that, and I know earlier we were talking about the parliament, and this is where I keep saying that the parliament is nowhere near what a parliament used to
Ought
be
to be. Yep.
in 2011 when I joined, and much more in terms of when Kemraj would have joined, because the parliament
right.
does not operate the way it should. And with this same individual, I want to remind you all that after that derogatory statement, he continued. Look at the video footage, telling a female parliamentarian like she wanted dildo. The man seems to have sex on his mind all the time.
But what
And
about that dear minister that was sitting in her chair that cried out for rape?
honestly, we are in a bad way.
There is a
And
child
Beverly,
crying out for rape, and we're not. This minister is not on the side of the child.
Yeah.
and
None of the
and
gory details
where is
happened to
her
that minister,
voice to
and she was
support that
calling
child?
rape. None
Yeah.
of the gory details happened to her.
Yep.
She was calling rape. All the gory details happened to this girl, and that is not rape. What
Yep.
you be charged? Look, I want to make another mention. That protocol that was used to exclude me from talking to the girl, I
Yeah.
have now gotten the protocol.
Okay.
And that protocol never said excluded legal representation. Never. It never said that the legal representation for the girl or sexual victim is excluded. So I was tricked. The Child Protection Agency ought to understand that they denied something that is as fundamental as right to counsel.
They failed that child.
And
They failed society.
further, or in the alternative, I will argue now, protocol itself, in the protocol itself, it says that although the protocol state out a whole lot of things, if in the best interest of the child,
Yeah.
this protocol should be deviated from, and it will go towards clearly certain identified circumstances, like in the best interest of the child, then you should allow legal representation of the child.
Well, look at that.
Yeah. And
Yes.
that
And
is
what could be best interest of the child but for the child to be told by his or her mother's lawyer whether to sign or not after having gone through the statement,
Exactly.
whether to say certain other things. What's wrong with that?
Yep. That
And
somebody
even I said I will not interfere with the investigation. I just want to know that y'all are doing a good investigation.
right.
And they were saying, yes, we're going to ensure that the justice is done. Justice is done. But they were terrorizing the luck off the girl all over the place and scaring shit different places as if she's an accused person. I heard about 4 or 5 places that they moved the girl
They
from.
re-victimized her over and over. That child
And-
is totally traumatized. And that's why I'm afraid for her.
Yeah.
Because she bare her soul.
Yep. She's a
And
strong.
it's clear.
She's a strong.
And so we have to review back that protocol. And you know, I got angry.
You know what? When you look at what the statement that they've made, they're very carefully saying that she was afforded legal representation and she had a legal representation. What they're not saying is that she didn't have legal representation of her choice.
Exactly.
Of her choice. And really, it comes down to what the system is doing, in the sense that if the mother or the child wanted someone in particular,
That's right.
yourself, Dexter Todd, the state should have been bending over backwards to make sure that she felt comfortable, that she had a person of her selection sitting in the corner
In the
that
best
possibly
interest.
with her best interests at heart,
That's right.
with her
Yep.
best interests at heart. That is what has not been done. That is what has not been done.
But
And
And so to,
Kathy,
yeah,
I
go
want
ahead.
to talk about our influences in society. Our guardians of democracy.
yeah,
Democracy is more than just going to the polls and saying free and fair elections and guarding watching ballot boxes. This is democracy. When institutions of state are allowed to function independently.
mm-hmm,
And that is not happening here.
yep,
Democracy got thrown out the window.
yep,
Law and order and justice got thrown out the window in this great democratic society of ours. The rights of a child, as Kemraj just explained, her right to counsel of her choice got thrown out the window, trampled upon. Her democratic right, her right as a citizen, her constitutional rights were trampled on. That is the why we live in it.
yep.
And it angers me.
And where the international organizations that deal with the rights of the child, where are the international members of the diplomatic community and everybody else?
That always in we business.
Absolutely, you're right. Absolutely silent. And I want our viewers to understand why we feel so strongly about this. Is that this could be your daughter. This could be
Exactly.
your granddaughter. This could be your mother. And that's why the fear that is emanating society where people at the highest level, meaning those female ministers today that have not done sufficient to say, no, we do not stand for this kind of behavior, have not spoken up. And that's why
And
we.
the
Yeah,
male
I think they're
ministers
silently
also.
appalled.
But Kamraj, you gotta open your mouth. If not, we
That's
assume
right, because silence is violence. They were telling
exactly.
us in a program, silence is
It's
violence.
violence.
Yep.
And all of them shut up their mouth now.
Yep.
I hope
Yep.
that it's not because of the island trust and so on, they're going to shut up their mouth.
But
We must have the genuine democratic governance within all these institutions. And as I have indicated, it is very much not in operation under the PPP. As Beverly just mentioned, they feel democracy is just winning elections. But you got to let the institutions of governance rule, the state institutions. And whenever the law provides for what is called in the best interest of the child, that all those other requirements, whether it's as legal representation and so on, of an independent nature, they enjoy. Don't take it away. And do not only say that, oh, we always just do that. But this was a little special case. Special why? Because the minister was involved. And that minister has been involved not only with that dildo incident. I was minister. And he put out the gun on one of them IDB officials.
yes.
Because the IDB official, I think, was having coffee with his wife somewhere, former wife.
Yeah.
And he pulled out the gun. That Glock that the girl talk about. That is why I believe all of this. He pulled out the gun. The IDB official, I got a complaint from Sophie McConnell,
Yeah.
the IDB head.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled the gun out and he scared the hell out of the guy,
Yep.
Yeah.
a white guy. Guy
Yeah.
run next day, he gets a plane and he gone out of the country.
Yeah.
And that is how he was lucky not to be charged, because the guy said, we couldn't get the police to get a statement from him, but we got the statement about it, oral statement that he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the kind of quality of personage you have inside of that PPP government.
No,
At a
but
minister.
that is the thing. I mean, like, the minister represents Guyana not only here at home, but on an international stage. And
Mm-hmm.
here it is that we are, the PPP government is holding on, the Ali administration is holding on to somebody which such heinous accusations leveled against them.
Yeah.
It would be in the best interest of Guyana and of the Ali administration for the minister to clear his name. And he can only do so in a court of law.
Yep.
But as long as this is hanging over him, they will always be looking at them Guyanese minister,
Yep.
as in we Guyanese minister. And
Yep.
we, the Guyanese people, would bear part of that bad name. The Ali administration would do well to have this thing cleared up, to have this matter resolved in a court of law. There is where this matter belongs, in a court of law. This is just too ugly. It is a shame and a disgrace on the Guyanese people. And the majority of the Guyanese people don't want to share in it,
Yep.
don't want to be part of that. We want to have that removed from our name. In any other country, in any other democratic society, he would have been told to resign.
Yeah.
Accusations like
Well,
that repeatedly.
yeah.
He
Well,
would have been told to resign.
look at the
Like to be
British.
party off in somewhere else to get some money, but he
Yeah.
would not have been representing the government and people of the country.
Yep. Yep. He needs to go. I really want us
No,
to take.
we should mention a couple of things for the Barbicians to understand this concept of individual ministerial responsibility.
Hmm. Please go ahead.
Under our constitutional requirements, by virtue of what we have received from the Westminster system,
Mhm.
there is an obligation for a minister to submit to the scrutiny of our parliament, and his actions are got to be scrutinized also at a higher level in the cabinet by that larger collective cabinet. And this ministerial convention, as it were, this individual ministerial responsibility convention, is a standard that is demanded to bring what is called ministerial responsibility. Like, you can't go and take bribe. You can't go and screw around with little girl. You can't invite little girl inside your house and so on. You can't do those things because that is not the standard quality of a person who is supposed to be, first of all, a parliamentarian nor a minister.
Mhm.
So personal culpability, personal wrongdoing, or a misjudgment, like if you want to feel up somebody and play big thing, and so on, or even being reckless about your actions, your personal actions, you have to pay a price for those private or public indiscretions.
Mhm.
That is what. And the highest that we have here is rape and sodomy of a little girl.
Yeah.
And up to now, we have no ministerial responsibility of him being sacked from the bloody government. He waited until the girl could collapse, literally. And now he has gotten his day. And that is why I'm saying, minister must be told by the president, Irfan Ali, that look, my administration is not going to tolerate that nonsense that happened
Yeah.
here. And this is a nonsense that is about other bits and bits that you have from girl in New York, a girl in Essequibo.
Yeah.
You do this thing to some IDB officials before, sometime in 2019.
And
What's wrong with you? Get out of the place. Get out of the place. And
And
exactly.
that
And you must not
responsibility,
now benefit from taxpayers' money.
right? No, I'm saying
What?
that responsibility lies with the
And
president.
you must
He
not
serves
benefit
at
from
the behest
taxpayers'
of the
money.
president.
Yep. Yep. There's a certain.
That's correct. He is
There's a certain.
dismissible at the pleasure of the president.
Yep.
Yes.
There's a certain
I just
decorum.
wanted to make that point, there, Captain.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There's
That's
a
right.
certain decency, a certain decorum. Because really, what is every indigenous woman that may be asked to attend some function when a minister is visiting a village.
Yeah.
You know, what is what are those women expected to do? Carry their children to those kinds of functions? And that makes me remember, you all will recall Barrett Jagdeo screaming and shouting and telling the public that if any new AFC ministers came to their villages, scream, shout them out, throw them out. Well, I would like to paraphrase it and say, anytime Mr. Dharamlal goes to any village, people of Guyana, shout you're a rapist and make sure you throw him out.
Exactly.
Now, Kamraj, I know you hope that something will happen in the parliament, but I want to remind you that I actually brought a motion to the parliament for Mr.
Yeah.
Dharamlal to go. I shouldn't even say Mr. He's not deserving of a word like Mr. For Dharamlal to go to the privileges. Dishonorable Dharamlal to go to the privileges committee, and we explained to people that after saying that terrible thing on the floor of the parliament, the person that was suspended was Sherrod Duncan, who could not believe that he said it. We paused for a couple of seconds and then he continued as though he had never said anything. He didn't pause and say, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Ladies, I apologize profusely for such a derogatory statement. He didn't do that. He came long after with some upsa-dungsa-rungsa apology that if anybody interpreted. And Sherrod was the one that came in saying, no, you cannot speak in such a dishonorable way to female members of parliament. And I brought a motion, you will know, for him to be sanctioned. Sherrod was sanctioned. He was never sanctioned. And it took 8 months for the speaker to say, Kathy Hughes, your motion is not going forward. So the problem we have in Guyana is that the parliament is no place for recourse. We could be, and I want people to understand that we could be talking. There are motions that come to the parliament and will never hear the light of day or see the light of day. So, comrade, what happens at this stage? What could what do we do?
Well, at this stage, Kathy, what we will do is that we'll have to carry a sustained attack on the government and the minister himself. Now that we understand from the president and so on that once his name is cleared, he will be restored and reinstated. We have to carry a sustained attack, mount this attack on that minister and the government, because it clearly offends not only, as I now know, members within that government, but because of this chief whip discipline and so on, they want to shut them out. Remember how they used to want to shut my mouth in parliament when I was a PPP member and I was very critical of them and so on?
Yeah.
They just want to shut up everybody now. And they've gotten their chief whip, I think it is Gail Teixeira.
Yeah.
Don't utter any word. That is why you can't even hear a word from any one of the parliamentarians.
And someone like Gail Teixeira, who has been
that
in
would not have
parliament.
happened if Ramchakan was there.
Yeah. Well, someone like Gail Teixeira that has been in parliament for so
that
many
is one
years
of the first things.
Should be speaking out against this.
And we have to now also, at the political level, show how dishonorable and with tremendous indignity this President Ali governs presides over his government. It would appear that he got a little modicum of goodness, but Jagdeo, I've been telling people it comes back to that. I remember inside of that Freedom House there, one of the set of people that he always attacking to was the same fella, was so close to him, Mr. Dharamlal. They had a couple of them, about 3 or 4 of them, always with Jagdeo. And when Mr. Jagdeo wants something, he just gets it, buddy. He just gets
But
it.
Camarade, the president himself
So
got to act like a big man. He
I
is the
agree with you.
president.
I agree with you.
He is the
So,
president.
know,
He wears the crown.
exactly, exactly. And if
Well,
he
as
does
I have
not,
been saying, Kathy, I don't know if he wears the crown. That's my point.
but as
Barak
an
was serving a
honorable,
third
if
term
you're
here
a,
in
if,
violation of the CCJ's ruling.
but Camarade, if
Yeah.
you're a decent, honorable man, much
All
less
right,
the
but let's
president.
not quibble about that. The trouble is,
You don't
let's
use
not.
those words in relation to some people, Kathy. You know
Yeah.
No, I
that.
know.
You know, decent and honorable don't go in
No,
the same
I,
sentence with some members of the people.
yeah, I
Just
naive.
so.
I
But
really,
actually, Kathy, to answer your question, we have to keep on a sustained attack. We got to bring a no confidence motion against that minister. We got to carry this thing to the public.
yeah,
The Secretary of State is coming to Ghana, Blinken.
yeah,
We have to ensure that he knows about all of this.
yeah,
We have to also let the United Nations Children Convention and
Yeah.
Commission know
yeah.
about what has happened here. But this minute,
All
we
the
have to write
international
them with
agencies. Yeah,
complaints,
yeah.
all the international agencies and all of that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it must be sustained. If it's one thing, we must not have in our midst pedophiles and rapists and
Yeah,
sodomists and all of that. So it is important
Yeah,
that
and
we will keep this thing sustained and
so
bring back
the
some honor
Commonwealth Parliamentary
and
Association also must
nobility
be
to our
written.
parliament and cabinet.
right. So, Camarade, I want to ask you a question. Although she has said no further action, right? There's no way on those grounds could I think the president assume, and I'm speculating here, that has not cleared his name. Her just saying I've had enough of this doesn't clear his
Exactly.
name. So
Yeah.
you know I
No,
would,
it does not clear his name.
right. So
It does not clear his
so
name.
so there's no way that the president could feel that he has an option of saying come back because there's still a big scar. We still
Yeah.
don't know what really happened, and we cannot have a rapist in the parliament and in the cabinet.
And
Not true?
representing the people of
Precisely.
Guyana.
You know this thing that Anil Nandalal talk about? Oh, the man is presumed to be innocent. That is for a criminal trial.
Yeah,
In the trial of the public as to the behavior, Boris Yeltsin gone and take a couple drinks in a parliamentary office there or the prime minister office, and Boris Yeltsin had to go up. He wasn't charged for anything. So many people when I have a book here on what is called ministers and parliament, right?
mhm,
And that is what I'm talking about. I want people to understand it. Individual ministerial responsibility. You don't have to be convicted,
yep,
but there are lots of people in England over the past period that this book was written, Mellor and Carrington and a number of names that the book says, because Profumo is a
of
fella
the
that's been
perfumer
around,
affair. I remember they made a movie.
with a prostitute or something.
Hmm.
That came out to light. And the
Yeah,
prostitute made a statement and said that, yes, he was with me at this club dancing and whatever. Out you go.
yep,
The
but
appearance of propriety.
yeah, but
Then more than
Camarade,
It
right,
must appear to
but
be proper.
yeah, but this chap here, we know for certain
is not
by the
proper.
statement that this is what his conduct was. We don't have to have a 12-man jury convicting him. Then you're going to get rid of him from your cabinet.
Yeah,
That is not what individual ministerial responsibility is all about. It is standards that you set in relation to your conduct in parliament. Oh, yes, the presumption of innocence is going to ensure that he is not get an unfair trial, assuming he was charged.
yeah,
But everything they were doing was to prevent him from getting a
If from
charge.
being charged.
yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
yep, yep,
So now that
yep.
he's been prevented from charge, he probably feel that matter done, matter end done. This thing will risk his whole government, because I'm certain members of the electorate out there that are supportive of the PPP will know that this is a wrong, and they either stay home or they vote for some other party 2025.
Yeah,
And that is what creates this convention that we call ministerial individual responsibility, that you have a duty now that I have done an indiscretion, more than an indiscretion in this case. It's criminal. It's rape, sodomy. I should back off. But the arrogance
Yeah.
of this government
Yeah.
and the non-action of its just now president. All right, I can do that just now. You read the just now editorial of Stabrook News?
Yep. Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
just now. Hold on, just now. What the hell is that all about?
Yeah.
You have to act now. Now you are president for until you got 2.5 years more. Act now. Let the world know that during the 5-year period, this is what you did when a man literally, on the statement of a girl, raped and sodomized her. That is what you got to do. I
They
remember
say
this
if you
thing had
stand for
happened.
something, you will pass for nothing.
Yeah.
If the
Beverly,
president don't stand for something, he's likely to pass for nothing. The ball is in his court. It is his man.
And Barbicians must
It is his
understand that.
cabinet. Exactly. How would Barbicians feel if it had happened to a girl from Blackbush, a girl from the quarantine somewhere, or from Inkanshi? How would they feel?
yeah.
And that is what they have to start thinking about. You know, if it
So-
was a little girl from Skeldon, how would they feel, Barbies?
Yeah.
If it happened with a girl from the hinterland, the interior, it could happen to a girl from Barbies.
Yep.
As simple as that.
Yep. Absolutely.
Unless you
Folks-
put a stop to it, it will happen.
Yeah. So we don't have much time left, but I do want to leave our audience with a sense that this is such an important issue. And as I've said before, this has nothing to do with politics. We ain't talking politics here. We're talking about a child, how a child has been treated by the system. And what are we as citizens going to do to have our voices heard? Or what are we going to do to ensure that this doesn't happen to other children? So, Beverly, is there any special message you would want to leave with members of the public? I know there have been a few protest actions. What, this is not the time for us to stay quiet. What would you say?
First, Kathy, I want to repeat what we said earlier, that we stand in solidarity with the girl, you know, and we lift her up. We lift her up in our prayers. We lift her up in our thoughts. We hold her up as an example of someone who fought for justice.
Yeah.
She tried in her little way to demand justice for herself. She did not fail. Society failed her. The state failed her. So I want to say that to the young woman in particular and to her family. I would encourage her parents to be at her side, to continue to encourage her, to support her, to let her know that nothing that happened is her fault. It was never her fault. She is a victim. And I want to call on especially the women of Guyana to write a letter, to make a statement on Facebook, to go into your little groups and talk about this publicly. Do not sit back and accept this. If it, as I said before, if it happened to a girl from the hinterland, it could happen to a girl anywhere. We have to hold public officials accountable. Persons who are in positions of authority must not be exempt from the law. The law is only as good as it is implemented, it is enacted. The law must not only be on paper. The law must be a force that must be felt. And we, the people of Guyana, must be the drivers behind that force. And to the influencers in society, the ABCE heads of mission and other international groups, now is your time to talk. Jump in here. I call on you to boycott anything where Dharamlal is until this matter is resolved in court. Do not engage him. Do not support anything for him until this matter is resolved in court.
Yeah.
That is
And
my
you think he's
position.
attending? Yeah, thank you for
Yes.
those wise words. Kemraj, what do we want to say to our viewers that they can do in their own way to say that we cannot accept this kind of situation? What else would you like to say in closing?
No, this program is especially out for the Babitians. That is why, initially, remember myself and you, Kathy, we
Hmm.
said we want this program in Babitians.
Yeah.
I know you like the PPP bad, but please, when they do rotten things like this, tell them, because we are not going to evolve into a greater, more dignified, and honest society if we have these occurrences happening. Minister raping little girl
Hmm.
inside a house. And remember, this little girl can't even give consent. She was underage. And that is why whenever he or any, the ones you suspect and so on, going up, Barbie, Sally, watch our little girl children.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you don't know what these fellas are up to.
Yep.
And it is important that that speaking out happens. Silence is violence. And now, the other second point I wish to make, Kathy, when you get brave people like this girl, this victim, and she now is made literally the accused and suffer for the truth that she is speaking, we want that to be turned around. She should have been treated with the kindest of silken gloves, as it were. She should have been treated more comfortably and ensure that justice is done. Justice at the criminal law trial will not be done now,
Yeah.
but justice at a political ground is certainly going to be done. He must not be made a minister again. He must not be certainly made a parliamentarian. He should go his way. His
Hmm.
career is ended. If not, we have to make a sustained effort to show the ignobility of the PPP administration. That's my final.
Fine, fine words. And with that, I want to say thank you to Member of Parliament Beverly Alert, and of course to Leader of the Alliance for Change, Kamraj Ramjatan. This has been a difficult program to do, but we have to talk about this very important situation and to accept and to state publicly that none of us, no woman, no official, no influencer can accept this. And we have to lend our voices. So write those letters, stand on the picket line, do whatever you want to do to show that you do not stand for Guyanese men treating our women and our children in such a way. Special thanks to our TV station, DTV, and to Shara Duncan, who's dealing with the technical issues. Tomorrow is a holiday. I ask Guyanese to enjoy the holiday and to take a moment to pause and to pray for that young victim. God bless everybody and take care. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.